from our partners at Give Me Sport this afternoon that there is a verbal agreement between Chelsea and Michael Olise on personal terms, Ches. How excited are you at the prospects of picking up Olise this summer as reports now start to appear that you've agreed the personal terms verbally with him?
Yeah, man, I'm happy. Obviously, it's not over the line yet, but obviously he's going in that right direction. The personal terms are obviously the easiest part. Everyone knows this. Doesn't take that long to do them. Fairly kind of transferable in terms of communication. The only problem will be Man U will come back in for him. So I don't think it's going to be Chelsea just clean it out and just get him and sign him. I need to deal with the club. Last year we dealt with him. We saw what happened. So in that aspect, I'm a bit wary. But in terms of getting the player, people say we don't need another right winger. We've got Palmer and all this. They occupy different positions. And for me, he's a baller. He's very good on that left foot. He's great at dribbling, takes his man very well. And even when he was injured and came back, if you see the stats, Terry, and everyone else in the chat, he comes back and scores goals. He delivers. And if you want to use eye test or stats or a bit of both, he does both. So if Chelsea are signing the best young talent in the league, Dan that's experienced in the league, there's a player we've seen do it against my team, even just scored against us at home. So for me, it's a good signing. And it just means that they'll shift around the positions in the attacking third. But it's what it is. Like, I want the best players. So if he has to come in the league and Madueke has to drop out, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to sit here and be like, no, I don't want him. Especially for 16 million, I don't think that's that bad. So I'm happy with that. I know Andrew's disappeared to give his opinion, but yeah, I'm happy with that. If it was to go through.
Yeah, I hear you. And Staffy, look, man, Fabrizio said something quite interesting on the United stand today, which was sort of alluding to Chelsea are leading the way, but Man United are set to come in. Are you a bit worried that because we're focusing on getting a new manager right now, that's sort of stopping us from signing a player like Olise? Or are you quite relaxed about United's involvement and think they'll come in later?
I'm relaxed on the fact that we won't get him because I'm just being honest. Listen, Olise's a wonderful player. Some people out here will tell you that he's better than Saka, but that's a different conversation for a different day. But as of now, listen, Olise's a good player. I would love him at United. I just don't think we'll get him. I think Chelsea, them being a little bit more settled going into the preseason, going into the summer, and obviously we know the Euros and all that stuff is coming as well. But just going into the summer, they look like they're already a few steps ahead of us in terms of knowing who their manager is, who the majority of their squad is, who's leaving, who's coming in, stuff like that. You know, their target's been set, whether we agree with them or not. I feel like it's always hard to sell a project without a manager. Let's be honest. You could be the best club in the world, but you still kind of want to know who the manager is. You know, you can look at the biggest clubs in the world. Madrid, as an example, attractive club, but what makes it more attractive is knowing who your manager is, Ancelotti. You know, and that's been a main factor in the last few years. We're nowhere near Madrid at this point, but I'm just trying to throw that point that you could be a very attractive club, but still need a good manager to sell your project. And we're not a good club right now, and we don't have a manager. Yesterday, all these rumors coming out, Tuchel and the Derby and all that. So it's kind of very hard to convince someone to come in at this part of his career, especially someone like Olise who wants to take that step and become that main star in the Premier League and become one of the best players in the Premier League and compete for titles and Champions Leagues and top fours and FA Cups and all that stuff when you don't know who the manager is. So I think he's going to go to Chelsea. I don't think he should go to Chelsea, but I think he will go to Chelsea. And unfortunately, I don't think we can do anything about it right now. You know, we've been slacking. Majorly.
Where I'm a little bit worried is the Crystal Palace element of it. So if Chelsea have to talk with them now because of the release clause, the way it's structured, if we hassle over that and then Man U get a manager within the next week, and now we're looking at a situation where you guys are looking for that key marquee signing to go along with your new manager, that's what I'm fearful. Not because I don't think you're poor, but then it becomes a toss-up on Elise's part. So that's the only thing I'm a bit wary about, which you could probably agree with, to be fair.
No, I hear that, and I would love that to be the scenario because I do want Olise. Don't get me wrong, I do want Olise. I just don't think we'll get him. But if you told me within a week, United will get, let's just talk about De Zerbi as an example, because De Zerbi is looking one of the most realistic possibilities right now since he doesn't have a job, and we're still speculating on who paid his the buyout clause, I should say. If you get De Zerbi within this week, and then you go in and you negotiate right away, and you're like, listen, this is no nonsense negotiation right now. We'll pay anything you want. Not necessarily that, but we'll pay more than Chelsea, I should say. You convince the player right away, give him all the money that he wants, all the stuff that he wants, whatever the negotiations are, convince him to come to the club. That would be great. I just don't find it feasible and realistic to do all that in a short time, especially with Chelsea. Chelsea, I think, have been one of the most ruthless clubs in the past 10 to 20 years, I would say, in terms of negotiating. I've seen you guys land major signings, no matter how good or bad you are, hijacks. More recently, Caicedo last year. Sorry, Paddy, but we've seen that. We've seen that.
No, it's actually very okay. It's actually very okay.
Even Liverpool went in with the money. It was record signing
Lavia
money,
was even worse.
and they still
Lavia
didn't.
was worse.
Lavia as well.
That was worse.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't put it past you guys to secure it before we get anything settled. I
If
feel
I'm-
like if Bowley finds out, hey, they're getting De Zerbi this Friday, all right, I'll secure Olise by Thursday. No worries at all. So I don't trust any negotiations with any player that Chelsea are in for.
I don't think Man United or Chelsea is the right move for Olise. And I think if they're the only two clubs in for him, he should stay at Palace because Glasner is cooking. They've just added Kamada today, who they worked with at Eintracht together. I think they're going to make a serious push for Europe, given how they finished last season. And ultimately, Chelsea is a graveyard for people's careers, and it has, and especially of late. And United, especially so, with how turbulent things are there until they get it sorted out with the manager. I think Olise should stay. I think he can do way better. I think Arsenal could look at him. Man City could love him. I think Guardiola would be all over him. Liverpool, I would love him at Liverpool. So, yeah, I don't know. If I'm Olise, I just think he shouldn't rush it. He's a good footballer who's going to have a great season. If his choice is Man United or Chelsea, from a footballing and his career,
I think that's a really bad take. I say it to your face.
I don't think so.
The reason why I say it's a really bad take is because
Why would he go to Liverpool? Attack is hard.
Salah.
Why would he go to Liverpool?
Let me start with this point. You mentioned Liverpool somehow in there. Of course you did. You're a Liverpool fan. Salah, who one of the best wingers we've ever seen in the league, but he would go to your club over a team that hasn't got a winger. That's the first point. That don't even.
Because
make
Liverpool's
sense.
a bigger and better club. Well, not bigger than United, but they're.
And then you mentioned also that Crystal Palace are going to push for Europe because they showed a good upturn. So did Chelsea. Why can't we push for top four? Why can't we push for trophies?
Because you're starting a new project again with a new manager, and there's
but you missed the point.
There's nothing to suggest Maresca is going to be good.
You mentioned about Crystal Palace changing their form around when they got a new manager, right? Yes or no? You did. So
yeah,
Chelsea. Let me have my point. So Chelsea, when they were 12, were crap, mid-table. Last season, very average, 2 finals. Why can't I sit here and say to you, at least say this player X, Y, Z brings me over that line, gives me a trophy in top 4 next season?
Yeah, it's a valid point, but it's just not comparable because Enzo was brand new. He's only had 1 year in the championship.
Glasner's only had 6 months.
Yeah, but Glasner has a track record at his previous clubs. He won the Europa League with Frankfurt. He's done a really good job everywhere he's been. And the way he's come into Palace, it shows. If I was putting money on the line, I would say I would actually back Palace to probably finish ahead of Chelsea. I think there's a mad revisionism about Chelsea because they finished strong, but did they? Like when there was nothing to play for a lot of teams, they kind of were able to get a few results. Ultimately, it doesn't really matter. He's in the Conference League. I don't know, man. Just Chelsea are a very turbulent football club. I don't think he's going to leave. I'd stay if I was him.
I don't think they're going to sell Eze and Olise in the same window.
Yeah.
Gahey's being linked to move away. He's only got 2 years on his contract. Mitchell's being linked to move away.
They've got no choice. It's release clauses. They've got no choice. They've got no choice whether they're going to sell them.
Yeah, I know, but like if
they have no choice.
To be honest, I don't even
So
think
it's
he
not
wants to
about
stay
what
one more year in
Crystal
Palace. Why would he stay one more year in Palace?
Yeah. Why would he want
When he's
So
getting
why
all
would he
these
stay
big
one
clubs
more
trying to
year
get
at
him.
Palace?
Yeah,
For
but because he hopefully he has the nous to be like, you know what, I could move to a massive club now, but it could also ruin my career. You've seen it at United multiple times and Chelsea especially. Look at Lavia. Look at Lavia last season.
I don't like what Paddy's saying, but there is logic in it. And I know, Ches, you love defending your club. Andrew, same as I love defending Man United. But if you were Olise's agent, if you were his brother, maybe in my case his father, because I'm a bit older, it should be a conversation. It should be a conversation about joining Chelsea and Man United right now. Is it actually is it a place where you're going to go and thrive based on the problems both clubs have had in Man United? It's been longer than Chelsea's situation. I do think it's a fair challenge. I mean, you would expect a good advisor to at least have that conversation with Olise, to put it out there and say, look, one more year here. You're only 22. Yeah, I understand that. But I think this goes into Paddy's point. And by the way, I want him to leave. I want him to join Man United. But if we take Chelsea as an example, most people predicted you to push on last season and go to another level. You spent the majority of the season mid-table, a good push towards the end. Yes, you reached, I think you said 2 finals, but you reached 1 final and a semi-final, unless I'm missing something here. And it was a good end. There's no doubt about it. But if you're the advisor of Olise, it's like, yes, last year they thought they were going to go to another level. Could the same thing happen again this year? Could there be problems? I think it's fair. Look, I think he'll leave personally. My gut tells me he's going to Chelsea, but I don't think it's an outrageous thing that Paddy has said, because he should be considering that. Man United and Chelsea are not a sure bet. Whether, no matter how much faith you, I like some of the things that Ineos are doing, but it isn't a sure bet that it's not a guarantee we're going to get better. There's no guarantee Chelsea will get better, but